First, we have to understand what consciousness is all about. To my understanding, consciousness meaning degree of awareness. By that, it also means our degree of unawareness. But that's not the end of it, that's 50%. Moment you become aware that so and so is hungry, your consciousness has become aware. If it is already sensitized with empathy, compassion, you might feel something in your heart, but the next job is still awaiting. Feed that person. So consciousness is useless until the next form of action is already in your mind with your intentions. Okay. Consciousness or the ability to perceive something are generally affected by three things: thinking, intellect, and ego. How does thinking affect? For example, you have a certain way of thinking, your spouse has a certain way of thinking, mother has a certain way of thinking because of their background. There was a beautiful experiment done at one university. The research was all about African boy being tortured. And they had taken the video. And it was shown to various people from Jewish background, from African origin background, Indian background, Islamic background, Caucasian background. And you can see the response was different in all cases. The fMRI functions were different. All these people who were observing this video, they were all in all chambers, fMRI chambers, and each one response at the brain wave level was different. You cannot lie and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Your brain cannot lie at that moment. It registers your emotions. It's different. It only shows that our thinking is programmed by our society, our community, the way I was raised. So thinking changes my perception. So when evolution of consciousness happens, we go beyond thinking into feeling things. Am I able to feel the pain or the pleasure, the joy, the excitement in other person? Then I can say, I'm resonating, I'm vibrating at the same frequency with the other. And when I vibrate with the ultimate, my resonance is with the ultimate divinity. My consciousness, which is limited to individual, now becomes cosmic. This resonance is required. Vibration that I am limited with my thoughts now has to expand. How do you do that? How can I transcend my very mind? Meditation is the vehicle to transcend the mind. And what becomes of thinking? When consciousness evolves, what becomes of my thinking? You move from thinking to feelings. Very simple. You move from mind to the heart. Right? Simple example. When I used to run pharmacy business in New York City, and I would end up having some problems now and then, and for which you think for days together, months together, and you put a proposal to your wife, she would ask, "What is wrong with you?" Right? Or your mother. And before you even finish expressing your problem, they come up with a solution for which you had a headache for 3 months. Why? Because they don't use logic. It's not that women don't have brains, they have bigger heart. So I always say to our sisters, don't please fight for equality. You're already higher. On the evolutionary scale, when you talk of consciousness and its evolution, as far as when you're trying to move from thinking to feeling, from mind to the heart, They're already advanced. Now, how does intellect creates problem? You have just seen these children doing amazing feat. It has nothing to do with intellect there. Solomon was here. He used his intellect trying to find the color. Intellect fails you. But when you evolve and intellect becomes intelligence, becomes intuition, then it gives you the right guidance. Okay. Now, the third thing I mentioned was ego. How ego either restricts your consciousness or ability or perception and responds to the perception. Suppose ego says, JV is so and so. Okay. My ego says, why should I meet him? I am so and so. I'm president so and so. He's just a singer. He's just a poet. Then what happens? I cannot perceive his feelings. I'm restricting. And moment you become restricted, it becomes problematic for you because of your ego. But ego is not your enemy either. He's your best friend. Ego can be your best friend if you utilize it. Just as mind is not the enemy. Mind, if utilized well, if ego is utilized well, they can be productive. Give you a small example, like JV again. I'm sorry, I keep repeating your name again and again. See, would you be happy with your yesterday's performance if everybody is giving a standing ovation for 10 minutes? You'd definitely be happy. But in your heart of hearts, when you're performing the same thing day after tomorrow, would you be happy with your own performance matching yesterday's? No. You want to outperform your own performance. That is using best use of your ego because there's self pride associated with it. So ego is not all that bad. But to think I'm JB, no one is better than me in Chicago. See, right? Then it becomes arrogance. It's the same ego with many faces. When we meditate, when we are pausing ourselves, centering ourselves, we're able to see ourselves in total clarity. We perceive ourselves with total clarity, especially when we are quiet and centered. It tells you where you're going wrong. You want to continue going wrong? It's your choice. But heart will always tell you when you go wrong. So the art of meditation, especially this heartfulness way, is to refine consciousness, refine our life altogether, simply by listening to the heart. Only one requirement. You got to have courage to listen to your heart and follow the heart's dictum. You can't put a stone on your heart and say, oh, she's gorgeous and I would like to fall in love with her and marry her. Heart says, no, 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 don't do that. But you are still so much enamored by her looks, she's going to finish you. I'm just giving you an example like that because we all go through that emotional responses time and again, and that makes you cry. So that's on evolution of consciousness. Thank you.